The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 997, coming to you on Monday the 22nd of March 2021. On this program, I bring you the topic To Be or Not to Be, Part 2. As a corruption of Shakespeare, to be or not to be. And I noticed that a gentleman has written an article in Eyewitness News, but he spells it out. He calls his to vax or not to vax. That is the question. Before getting into the topic for the evening, however, a few preliminary matters, beginning as usual with expressions of condolence. And I have three families that I wish to send special condolence to. The family first of my late legal brother, Mr. Bertram Commission QC, the family of Ms. Nina Maloney, and the family of Ms. Michelle Samuel, Country Manager of Courts, St. Vincent Limited. I have already delivered tributes in respect of the passing of Brother Bertram Commission and Sister Nina Maloney, one on television, one on radio. And I would just like to commend, first of all, John Bertram Commission, whom I knew him by name before I met him, in that his brother John Commission was in grammar school with me in the early forms. And John Commission usually spoke of his big brothers Samuel and Bertram. And in due course, later in life, I got to meet Samuel Bertram, in that Samuel was a big boy, an older brother in the grammar school. I have known Brother Bertram Commission in the legal fraternity, but I really got to bond with him between the years 2003 and thereafter, when we were both members of the Constitutional Review Commission. I as deputy chairman at first, and then as chairman, and he as a representative of the Bar Association. Bertram Commission was an extremely knowledgeable person, not just in the law. He had gone to England after his grammar school days, studied law in England, and when he came back, he went to Guyana, where he worked in the chambers of the former president of Guyana, Mr. Forbes Burnham. And there he picked up a lot of knowledge of political matters. So much so that there was always speculation that he would come back to take over the PPP from his uncle Ebenezer Joshua. Then he left Guyana and went as a lecturer in law at the Hewarding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, where he lectured for several years, and then he came home and joined the practice already established by his younger brother Samuel, and the brothers were known as Commission and Commission. Deeply learned in the law, as you would expect, but a man of the world. And because of his close association with political matters, at the rubbing shoulders with the likes of Forbes Burnham, he was able to bring to bear on the deliberations of the CRC a wealth of practical experience His guidance was always beneficial, and he got along well with everybody. May he rest in peace. As to Miss Nina Maloney, I would like to take this opportunity to clear up one error that I have seen in the newspapers, I've heard on television and on radio, as to a very important detail in the career of Miss Nina Maloney. It is being said that she was appointed General Manager of the National Broadcasting Corporation in 1997 and served until 2001. That is, the first date was not correct at all. Nina was appointed General Manager in 1987, not 97. I must know because I was Minister of Information and I was the one who recommended her for appointment as General Manager soon after I assumed ministerial office from the 1st of May 1987. Not only that, I was also instrumental in in recommending Nina's appointment as the first and so far the only coordinator of religious broadcasting. And I was instrumental in recommending her to be chairman of the board of directors of the National Broadcasting Corporation. 1987. So I hope all of those persons who have publicized 1997 would do what they can to correct that error. The next thing I would say about Miss Nina Maloney is that in my humble opinion, Nina should be shortlisted as a candidate for the office of National Hero of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To me, she has fulfilled all of the qualifications for being a national hero. She served in so many capacities in a selfless manner. And those of you who knew Nina knew that she was a plain-speaking, no-nonsense sort of person who broke nothing but excellence. She was never satisfied with half measures. She was a stickler for perfection. Those of us older heads, of course, will remember her programs, Down Memory Lane and Drifting and Dreaming. Nina was simply an embodiment of the best that there is in Vincentians. To her extensive family circle, my deepest condolences on behalf of myself and my family and my staff. Finally, it came as a shock when I heard of the death of Miss Michelle Samuel. I had interacted with her because I did some legal work for courts, and she was the points person at courts. She was extremely knowledgeable and was ever failingly courteous. I didn't realize that she had been ill. When I heard the news, it came as a shock. May she rest in peace. I had a few more things to say by way of preliminaries, not condolences, because I don't want to make the program an obituaries program, but I would leave out the other things I had to say because I want to make sure I get through all that I prepared to say on tonight's topic, to vaccine or not to vaccine, to V or not to V, that is the question. And I want to begin the topic by pointing out something which struck me as sheer brilliance. And it is the article written by our good friend and brother, Sebastian Bassi Alexander, in the Searchlight newspaper of the 5th of March. Now, Bassi, as you know, writes a column in Searchlight every Friday. Now, I have a practice of reading much of what is written in the newspapers in this country. Some articles are must-reads for me. I must read Bassi's column. I must read Dr. Adrian Fraser, my Barrelly brother, and I must read Brother Renwick Rose. Then I read all the editorials in the papers and then other articles of interest. I can't say I read everything in the papers because there are some things which I don't really bother with. Now, in Bassi's article of Friday the 5th of March, the headline is "Go Line Up for the Jab." And he starts, driving past Victoria Park on Wednesday morning, Liza saw a crowd of people in the pavilion wearing the mask like was mass in Victoria in February. And he goes on, but this is the part I want to pay special attention to. Bassi wrote, "I told Liza a year ago we had no answer for COVID-19. No medication, no vaccination, well, not for another year or two. People in Europe and Asia were dying. In the US, COVID-19 cases had spiked up to thousands, and the death toll had started to climb." I leave out a sentence and I continue. "Today, after 1 year of waiting, there's a vaccine, in fact, several vaccines for COVID-19. Some people welcome the vaccine, and some will have no part of any vaccine. And as always, some people standing firm to the faith in God and will have nothing to do with vaccine. I must admit that as a believer, I'm standing firm to my faith in God too. However, for almost a year now, I've been praying to God to send us a cure for COVID-19. Whether it's medication, injection, or vaccine, just send it, Lord." I'm hearing all kind of stories about the AstraZeneca vaccine that I took 10 days ago. Now, Bassi, as usual, expresses some profundities in simple and humorous fashion. But when I read that for the first time, it struck a note in me because I said, Bassi has hit the nail on the head. Most of us are Christians and we believe in praying to God. But how many of us listen to the answer that God gives to us in response to our prayers? So here was Bassi saying something as simple as, for almost a year now, this is Bassi, I'm quoting Bassi. For almost a year now, I've been praying to God to send us a cure for COVID-19. Whether it is medication, injection, or vaccine, just send it, Lord. No, as far as I'm concerned, the good Lord has given the expertise to scientists and researchers to come up with different vaccines for COVID. Bassi regards that as the answer or part answer to his prayers, and I want to say amen to that. So those persons who are praying to the Lord to do something about the COVID pandemic, the Lord answers the prayer partly by giving the knowledge, as my former Archbishop would say, the wit and wisdom to scientists to develop several cures or several medications in the form of vaccines to deal with COVID. Now, you might say it's not a cure in the sense of making you get rid of the virus, but the results of all of the investigations, and they are still ongoing, particularly from Europe, where some governments had suspended the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine, is that these vaccines are all safe and they assist a potential patient that if you are vaccinated, the chances of you having to go into a hospital have been lessened, and the chances of you dying from the virus have also been lessened. So these vaccinations save lives. Now, of course, there are people who are loosely called anti-vaxxers who spread a different message. Some people read things on social media or on the internet and Google and have come to the conclusion that, as Bassi said, they don't want anything to do with the vaccine. But the vast weight of scientific opinion is that you are better off with the vaccine than without it. Look, last week we heard the dreadful news of the death of the President of Tanzania, President John Magufuli. President John Magufuli came to office in 2015, has become beloved of his people because of the work he has done to try to stamp out corruption. He brought in some radical policies in Tanzania. First thing he did, he banned all public officers from traveling abroad. He said, no more traveling abroad. It wastes too much money. And the savings from the travel budget, he used it to build roads and bridges and dams. His was a personalized style of leadership. People loved President John. But he developed this idea that the COVID-19 scare was not a real thing, and he became a COVID skeptic. Said he didn't believe in masks, he didn't believe in vaccines. And Tanzania took no steps to protect itself from the COVID. Now, unfortunately, thousands, and they also stopped reporting on COVID-related deaths. Now, thousands of Tanzanians have died because of President John Magufuli's obsession with not believing in COVID or in vaccines. And unfortunately, he has died. It is widely suspected from having contracted the COVID, even though the official reports of his death claim other things, that he died from heart attack. Some say this, some say that. Some even say he's been assassinated. Unfortunately, in this hemisphere, we have two leaders who, one doesn't believe in the science, and one who denied it in the early years. President Bolsonaro of Brazil doesn't believe in the science, and he has fired 3 previous ministers of government. Brazil is now in its 4th minister of health, because as fast as they developed policies in the ministries of health, which tend to favor taking active steps to keep the virus down, President Bolsonaro, who didn't believe in that, he himself caught it a while and got over. But Brazil has the highest death rate of any country in Latin America. Every day, thousands of Brazilians are dying because the government doesn't believe in taking the necessary steps. And then President Trump, in the early days, was denying that COVID was anything serious. He said just a little flu. It will go away after a while. And then there came a time when he was advising people, all right, if you take some bleach, that would help the situation. Until lately, the Americans have got ways. Now, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it has been made clear by officialdom that until a certain percentage of the population is vaccinated, if we don't reach that percentage, we will not have any significant easing of the protocols and restrictions we have now. And the Prime Minister is reported to have said that the government will take a decision by the end of May as to whether there's going to be any carnival this year, depending on the numbers of Vincentians who have taken the vaccination. Now, the issue is not a political issue in St. Vincent and Grenadines, because both leaders, both the government, the Prime Minister leading the government and the leader of the opposition, have publicly become vaccinated and have urged their supporters to do likewise. Although some people got annoyed with Dr. Friday, the leader of the opposition, for having taken the vaccination himself, his wife and son, because they say that this vaccination thing is a ULP thing, but that's just a radical fringe of the New Democratic Party. Excuse me. Now, this morning, I happened to have listened to the program Face to Face on NBC Radio 705 and heard an interview with Professor Richard Robertson, our main volcanologist. And I wrote down, I got my pen and paper and wrote so that I don't misquote him, some of what he said. He said the soufre is giving us a lot of time to get our act together. That's what the good professor was saying. He said it has given us 3 months so far. He said this can go from doing nothing to making sure that things are in place. Because he said, look, nobody can say for sure if there will be a violent eruption. But the volcano has been giving us warnings. And we have been warned for 3 months so far. As soon as he was finished, the first caller who called in, and I want to applaud the gentleman who called in this morning on Face to Face. He was highly agitated, the caller. Didn't identify himself naturally. And he said his worry is that if soufre should erupt violently any time now, there'll be chaos in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because the virus is still with us and not enough of us have been vaccinated. And the gentleman who called was pleading with Vincentians to get vaccinated so that at the very least, should the soufre go into a violent phase, and hundreds and thousands of people have to be put in camps, at least enough of us would have been vaccinated to make a difference. Now, not too long ago, we had a serious outbreak of the virus at the mental health center. So that one can imagine, should the soufre blow at any time, when not even 15% of Vincentians have received their vaccination, the virus would then have the opportunity to run rampant among a population, many of whom have to be scrambling to live in camps. So that when the news of soufre came at the end of last year, many people prayed, good Lord, don't let it erupt. Help us, save us. And the good Lord has been kind to us so far. But what have we done in the meantime to prepare ourselves in case the soufre should erupt? So I would like to join that brother who called into the radio station this morning to urge our people who are still refusing to be vaccinated to go and get your vaccination. Go and get your vaccine. For your sake, for your family's sake, for the country's sake, because if enough of us are not vaccinated and soufre should blow, you could imagine what will happen in this country. And then we still have dengue to contend with, and then in 3 months' time we'll be entering the hurricane season. My people, don't bother with those who are vaccine skeptic. Unless you have advice from your doctor that you should not be vaccinated, go and get your vaccine, please, for your own sake. And finally, I am tired of wearing the mask. You think I like to wear the mask? But I have to wear the mask in public when I'm at my office, steaming up my glasses. Can't see people's facial expression because they're there. I have to talk to me through the mask as well. I want to get rid of this, but until enough of us are vaccinated, the public health people say, wear the masks. So you want to tell me we're going to let Christmas come and can't enjoy Christmas this year if we're still alive, because we have to still be practicing all these social distancing and, I mean, the sanitation measures we should be practicing all the time. Fair enough. But the good Lord has sent us an answer to our prayers where the COVID is concerned. He has sent us vaccines. Please take them. That's what you've been praying for. Okay? All right, well, that is all from this program of The Law and You, program number 997. I look forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday, DV, for another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. Do have a pleasant week, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Go and get your free vaccine if you haven't done so yet. And may the good Lord, continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.